Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Dr.Z NFT podcast with your host, Waxwars, award-winning artist Matt Gazer, and Gordon Needle, the man of all trades out of Scotland, who is our animator, our digital 3D artist. It's amazing, the stuff he's doing. So hello, everyone, and it's been a fun week. I just got back from a quick trip to California, and got to go to an American football game, the 49ers versus the Rams, and it was pretty epic game. Went to overtime. It's good times, guys. But
I was going to say, you heading to California? Did you not get a chance to meet up with Matt at all?
Matt lives in Northern California, so I headed down to Southern California, and many people may not know this, but California is a huge state. Like, it's bigger than most states, so it's almost like maybe 500 or 600 kilometer difference from where I went to where Matt is.
Okay. So
you have perspective, if you go from the top to the bottom, it'd take roughly like 14 hours.
So to drive it.
Yeah, it's huge.
Wow, okay. Wow. Yeah. Well, that sucks though, because it seems like almost you're just so close, but then so far. It's crazy.
Yeah. We're close every day. We're always on video chats constantly.
Yeah, building this game.
Actually, I got to say, the few times we have met, Rolf, it's so weird to see you in person because I only know you mostly through the internet.
Virtually. Yeah.
Matt and I got to hang out a few times last year when we finished up the documentary. We the primary footage, we met up, and then we also went on this epic hiking trip with a bunch of our Matt's high school friends and my college friend Mitch. Went to high school with Matt. We did this epic backpacking trip back in the country where there's no way to get there without backpacking in, and it just beautiful lakes and nature. It just, nice. I came back so refreshed, being in nature, breathing clean air, drinking clean water and stuff. It's amazing.
See, I don't know if I'd want to actually hike in California because, you guys have bears and cougars and everything up there.
Totally. I had to put up a bear sack every time.
I've been backpacking for 25 years, and I've only seen a mountain lion in the distance perched on a rock. I've never had a bear encounter. I've never had a mountain lion attack. I've never really even seen a snake, like a rattlesnake. Out of 25 years of backpacking, the only thing I have experienced is mice getting into my tent. Hey, big deal, right?
And the deer. So we put up we call it a bear sack. You put all your food into a sack and hang it up on a tree. But it was probably more for the deer because the deer would just come in and anything that smelled like food, they just tear into. So put all your food up on a tree.
Well, let's talk about crypto and Dr. Zammsy.
Crypto. Yeah. So everyone might have noticed that crypto's been down a little bit lately, and there's probably multiple factors, but one big factor was that I guess Kazakhstan is one of these countries that has really cheap fuel. So there's 15% of the entire Bitcoin network was in Kazakhstan, and they're having this civil unrest. And living in a country like that where it's a dictator, they just cut the internet off, just boom, off. So that took 15% of the entire Bitcoin network down completely. And that's part of the reason why the United States is now the largest Bitcoin mining area, because China cut it off as well. So a lot of people are just moving back to the United States, where for now it's still cool to be there. But it sucks that everything's down. But it's actually, if you think about it, you want to be planning for ups and downs. Like it's good when it's up and it's good when it's down, because when it's up, you sell a little bit and turn it into cash, and so that you're ready when it's going down to buy a little bit more. So that's kind of the key. That's the game that we're in here.
That's basically what I've been doing, basically through my Coinbase account. Now that it's kind of, I don't know how much lower it's going to get, but it's definitely lower than it has been. So I've just tried to snap up a little bit where I can before it jumps back up again.
And it's so hard mentally, because when it's going up to an all-time high, you're like, oh, I want to buy some. And then when it's going down, you get depressed and you're like, oh man. So you have to be very disciplined and take the emotion out. And so when it goes up, you sell a bit. And when it goes down, you buy it when it's down. That's just the key there. All right,
try
guys.
my best. It's difficult with crypto. The whole thing with crypto really is just to hodl it constantly and just hold. So yeah,
that's what I do.
Yeah.
All right. So this month we got a bunch of fun things happening, starting with our battle satchels. We had our first battle satchel came out on last Friday, the airborne unit. Matt, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, essentially, these satchels are key components to our card game. We're calling this particular application that will be in the game it's called a holocron splicer. So what you'll do is you'll take your trading card NFT from Dr. Zammsy, you'll put it into the application. You'll take a battle satchel you own, you'll put it into the application, and then they'll blend into a battle card unit. And what it does is it brings total functionality into your NFT. So there'll be decorations and utilities around these cool frames that are themed. We have airborne, ground, range, hero, all these different satchels, right? And depending on the particular satchel you own, out will pop an upgraded version where you can then utilize your battle card in the game. And what's great is when you do that process, you will create a new NFT. You'll still be able to keep your trading card. I don't know quite yet. Maybe you can answer this.
Let me jump in.
Let me
jump in real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's really cool. We worked this out with our game developer, Matt and I, kind of going back and forth and figuring out a way to basically all the cards that people already own will basically be like a pilot of a unit. So there's going to be these multiple different units, the aerial, range, ground, fortifications that are units placed in the game. And those units will have different powers based on what character is piloting it. So, for example, if you have your Dr. Zammsy card, you can combine that with an aerial battle satchel and create a Dr. Zammsy aerial unit, which will have his powers for that unit. So it was just, it made total sense just for the way our cards are set up, where you'll be able to have your characters that you already have, and you'll combine them with the units in the game to create the battle card, the actual battle card that's playable in the game. So
but the key thing to remember is you will not lose your original trading card, right? So you're making a new NFT that has utility in the game that, if you want, you could sell in the secondary market, correct?
Right. So what's going to happen is there's going to be these Replicon Nexus cards, which we're going to be selling soon, which will be perpetually be able to use to make as many cards as you want. But the original cards will sort of be a one and done sort of thing, which we're still working out the details on that, but that'll be a way to sort of constrict the supply for the collectors of the original cards. But those original cards, I believe, will actually be burned, and then you'll get that battle unit that will last forever. But we're going to be actually selling these Replicon Nexus cards that will be able to be used over and over and over to create as many ones as you want, and you can sell them on the open market to people, because the Replicon Nexus cards will only be available for very short periods of time and never again. So then if you have one of those, you'll be able to create the units that no one else has and sell them. So that's a way to make money for the game users.
On top of obviously winning and earning Void.
Exactly. So this last week we had our airborne units came out and people were stoked about it. And so this week, this whole month of January, we're going to be releasing these first version concepts of these battle satchels. So this Friday, we're going to be releasing the range unit battle satchel, which Matt and I just finished yesterday. And so look for today. I'll be probably launching the link so that you'll see the countdown for Friday with the new drop on Friday. Can't wait to see that. Can't wait to share that with you guys.
And just to reiterate for people that don't know, these are redeemable NFTs for a real 3D battle satchel. So the actual asset will be 3D, obviously in the form of an NFT. So you're collecting these early, getting things set up in your collection so that you can redeem them for actual satchels that'll be playable in the game. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. These are. Man, this is just another way we want to try to reward our early adopters. So all these early cards are just going to be a little bit more powerful than everything else, and there'll be very few of them because, relatively speaking, we're in 100 to 200 or 300 range of any that even exist for these. So once there's thousands of people playing this game, those original ones will be very limited. If you just look at the exponential growth that will happen. So get yours now when you can, before get these extremely rare ones. So let's see here. Moving on to, okay, so everybody, sorry, this took a little longer than I expected, but quality was we're all about quality. But if you were part of the HODL God Dr. Zammsy collaboration, if you collected all 15 cards, you'll be able to burn a set and get this special trophy pack, which we had promised before, but was not, hadn't come out yet. But if you go to our Discord, I posted something yesterday with some of the elements that will be in there. They're just going to be like a fully animated Sword of Palagon. There's going to be these Enigma, basically turned on Enigmas. We call them Apex Enigmas, where they're in 3D motion as well. And each trophy pack will have 4 cards in it. You'll get you'll get a trophy. You're going to get an Enigma card, an Apex Enigma card, and then a special card. And so there's a bunch of cards that if you do have several sets of the 15, to burn those, you're going to need to burn more than one set of 15 to get all the cards, because there's multiple cards. But at least if you only have one to burn, you're going to get a really special group of cards if you decide to open up that pack, that trophy pack. So, and then Matt, you helped out a lot on that too. And we have a really special sort of sketch session from our documentary is actually one of the NFTs where Matt is actually sketching a drawing, is one of them on there.
And Gordon modeled a 3D version of the Palagon sword that's rotating in an NFT. So it's an upgraded version of the Palagon sword card, but it actually has the sword 3D modeled rotating in space.
Yes, pretty and cool. I believe we called it it's called like Palagon Sword Awakened, and that's the one that's rotating.
Yeah, it was a fun collaboration on that one.
So there'll be stuff coming from both ends, HODL God side, the Onessa side, and our side with this how to get your trophy pack. And I believe just for a limited time, it's going to be shut off really soon. Was this interface where you could blend some of the cards to complete your set of 15 cards. But that's going to be turned off very soon. And then it'll just be whoever has those cards will be able to burn them and get the special trophy pack. All right, moving on to, we have another really cool event this month we're having an auction for 2 really rare items. So Matt, you want to talk about the second ever digital painting of Dr. Zammsy?
Yeah, I think a lot of people might recognize this piece. It's Dr. Zammsy on his medical carriage, traveling through the land of Galagan with the grand castle of Amphibula that runs the kingdom in the background. It's a really special piece. It was like the second actual painting I had ever done of the Dr. Zammsy universe. And yeah, we're going to basically launch this as a one-of-one special exclusive NFT. It's never going to be duplicated. Obviously it's been in promotional pieces. It's been on our website, things like that. But this is an actual NFT of just that painting with a back that shares another view of the world looking at Amphibula that we've never shown anyone before. So it's kind of, in a way, you get 2 illustrations that are very unique and special in that one-of-one. We're pricing, starting bid is 10,000. We have a couple whales that are actually already interested, so we'll see how that bidding process goes. But man, for you fans out there that want to jump in and support our project, we would really appreciate it if you want to make a bid. I just want to reiterate the reason why we're doing these auctions is just to try and keep the capital flowing so we can keep the 3D game, the card game, and the animated series rolling. It costs a lot of money to operate these 3 projects. We've spent an enormous amount already, but it's still not enough. And, we're doing fine, but, it really helped to get a boost from this auction to really, get a few more hires under our belt and push the productions into the next stage. Can
I jump in real quick, Matt?
Yeah, go for it.
I just want to say, I mean, the reason this piece is like a fine art piece. So we made it like super high res. It's a 1 of 1, and it's under our schema. We have a different schema called auction, and it's under the rarity of unique. So it's a 1 of 1, and it's the second time we've ever done this before. So the first time we ever did it, Michael Blue from Yoshi Drops purchased our very first one, which was the first digital painting that Matt ever did of Dr. Zammsy. And so we're super stoked to bring this second ever digital painting, which it's super high res. Like you can display it on a 4K screen, to all your friends. And then there's this second image that we're showcasing the Amphibula Castle. So this is where King Argolsmot lives. He rules the land of Galagan, and he's actually was originally from the ocean side. Like he lived at the ocean, and he missed the ocean. So if you see the castle, Matt can describe this more in a second, but the castle actually has whales that swim. He's got this massive aquarium that where he can sort of feel at home, because the castle is more inland, so he can actually see the whales and stuff. Matt, you want to talk about that? The castle of Amphibula?
Yeah, King Argosmot, when he was a prince, lived on the Phalantic coast, which is where Halebridge resides in the world. And he lived in a nice royal village growing up there. But when he was summoned to be king, he was forced to move inland, and then he did all these renovations on Amphibula and made it more aquatic, because he loves sea life, he loves the ocean, he loves looking for whales and checking out fish and diving and all that kind of thing. So he retrofitted the entire castle to be basically an aquatic museum. So you get a good shot of that in this NFT, because it's in the first painting, and then on the back there's another shot looking inside the villages that surround the mountain that Amphibula rests on, and it's looking up on Amphibula, and you get to see people moving about and shopping and doing the things they do in their villages while seeing Amphibula. So you get two really cool pieces out of one NFT.
And you get to see Matt's signature. So on the back image has Matt's signature, excuse me. And then also how we like to do, we have a little description and story about what's going on in both pictures. So it's a really beautiful piece for someone who's looking to collect a fine art, high quality fine art. This isn't really a card, how we normally do cards. This is just a fine art piece of digital painting. And we're really excited about it.
I don't want to interrupt, but I just want to say too that if you think about the franchise and where it's heading and where it can go as an animated series, games, a potential live action movie, by owning these 1 of 1 NFTs right now, you're like getting a serious piece of history on something that could just be as big as Star Wars someday. I'm not saying it will, but it could. And we're sure working hard to get there someday. And so, it's a good thing in your investment to collect this NFT and hold it. And then, man, when it blows up, you can always say, I got a 1 of 1 of the second digital painting that was ever done of this franchise. That's a huge selling point.
It's like going back to the days of like the early Star Wars and being able to buy Ralph McQuarrie's concepts.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Yeah. Of the Y-Wing flying to the Death Star. Imagine owning that NFT in this new age we live in. That's pretty much what it is. And then we have another auction
second item
happening at the same time. And Rolf, why don't you talk about that?
Right. So we have a second, pardon me. We have a second piece, which is one of our virus boxes from the first set. So when we created our first set that came out in April, we had these very limited boxes. We had the virus box and the cure box, and those were designed for the collector, the person who's a art collector, and those were put on sale for around $21,000 because it was a Fibonacci number. That was our first series, had to do with Fibonacci numbers. But we put that out there just to see what would happen. And then we knew that if no one bought them then, that we would hold on to them till the hype grew more, because what this virus box has is every single card from the first set, except for the cure card. But it has, so you don't have to go looking for these rare cards. It's got the sketch card. It's got the color key card. It's got the master signatures, all 3. So it's got all these very hard to find cards all in one place. And there's only 3 of these virus boxes, and we're going to put one out there. And then it has this very rare virus card, which there's only 4 of them. So there's one in each virus box and one in the cure box, which will come later. So the cure box has the 1 of 1 cure card. It's with Vizdidra. That we won't release that till we know that Dr. Zammsy's at a good place or whatever. But we really wanted to do one of these virus boxes. So this is for the whale or the collector who really wants to get the entire first set in a box where there's 21 cards. So I wouldn't open it, but if you decide to open it, when you go to the unbox site and hit the button, it's going to play a little movie, and then all 21 cards are going to come out, and those will be in your wallet now. So, yeah, Matt, we had a good time making this.
And the real special part about that virus box is the virus card. It's the very first concept of an Internaut, which is one of the bad guy soldiers in our story. We've done a couple images of these Internauts in our battle card series over the past few months, but this is the very first ever image of an Internaut that, like Rolf said, there's only 4 of these cards, and one of them will actually be in this box.
And first appearance of Professor Vagnus Zeal. So if people have been following along, we have one of the characters is Professor Vagnus Zeal. He was kind of a mentor to Dr. Zammsy in the past when Dr. Zammsy was younger. But then certain events happened that drove him mad, and he ended up siding over to Vizdidra's side, and was one of the sort of masterminds to creating this virus that's destroying the land that Dr. Zammsy has to solve. So you're basically getting 2 first versions of characters in one in this super rare NFT. So check it out. I mean, we're going to have a nice article from Benzinga that explains more about these 2 items that are going to be going on auction on January 21st for just 1 week till the 28th. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. I mean, be a part of history with Dr. Zammsy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. A shout out to ARODIE.com. He did a great article about our white paper. So if you thought that the actual PDF was a little too much information, 45 pages of material, he did a great summary of the entire white paper at ARODIE.com. We'll put a link in this YouTube, but it's just a phenomenal read. Craig is just an amazing writer, and I just want to do a little shout out to Craig on that. So thank you.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to know about our game, so we'll talk a little bit about the game right now. If you go to drzammsy.com, which is drzammsy.com, and that'll be in the show notes as well, you can really get to see what we're doing, and you can see right at the top there underneath our little video is a link to our white paper or game development document, which can just explain to you the first version of what we're going to be updating it as improvements come along, but this was the first version of the whole layout for our battle card game and sort of the first level of our 3D adventure game. So check that out. And then what Matt was just saying is that we're so stoked with our friends that are helping us, and ARODIE, he basically digested the whole document down to sort of a more easier read to understand how the game works.
It's like Cliff Notes for our game. It couldn't have been better written. It was phenomenal.
And then we had to sort of move forward something that was coming a little later, but we're going to have an actual playable demo of the game coming really soon, because Atomic Hub and some other sites have actually cracked down on, I guess there's a lot of scams out there. There's people who are saying they have a game and trying to sell something. And so now you can't even advertise on certain sites unless you go through a whitelisting process to show them that you actually have a game. So we have our game development document, and then we should have we're going to have this connected Wax wallet to a demo game that we'll be able to play ourselves and kind of post for you guys to see. But we have to do that to basically prove to Atomic Hub that we have an actual game that is connected to the Wax blockchain. So excited about
and
that.
That should be wrapped up in about a week and a half. That's what Jeff said. So very excited about that. So I'd say by the end of the month, we'll definitely roll out video of this demo, and we'll finally get to advertise again on Atomic Hub because we are planning for set 3.
Set 3, baby. Set 3.
Yeah,
it's coming.
So we're just got the contract from our lawyer to get get an in-house contractor illustrator on board. So this set's going to be the first set that's going to incorporate not just my artwork but someone else's artwork. Thanks to Gordon for introducing Felix to me. I thought his work was phenomenal. I've created a bunch of whiteboards and direction for these two cards he's going to do. One is going to be Rhea Brighton, which is a niece of Dr. Zammsy. She lives in New Logan, and she runs the dark market underground for collecting medical supply for Dr. Zammsy. So we're going to have a fun image of her in action in the world of New Logan. And then we're going to do another card of Amelia, which is the mole / daughter of Vizdidra that is
Don't give away the story. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh shoot! Yeah. Well, anyway, she's a very important character. So she's a nurse in Halebridge, and we're going to do the first card of her as well. And so Felix is going to be illustrating.
She's well connected to the world of the world of the Chronicles of Dr. Zammsy, which will can't wait to share those things. But it's awesome. So we got some help. Yeah.
Set 3 is going to be a mixture of some of the battle cards we've already released that are no longer available. It's going to have animated versions of those as well. It's going to have sketch cards of those. It's going to have 5 new cards that we haven't released yet. One's of an Armada, which is a beautiful
that was my favorite
in Galligan. So where there's all these balloons. It's like a air balloon festival in Galligan, and I've already illustrated most of that, and it's looking gorgeous. Rolf approved it. That's great.
It looks beautiful, but it's the Armada. It's going to be playable. Yeah. It's going to be something that you want to play in the game to have air superiority.
Set 3 is also going to have a beautiful shot of Halebridge as a location card, and then we're going to do. What was the other one? Oh, a sublab in the micro realm. So Dr. Zammsy obviously can shrink down with his micro mech suit into the micro realm, but he also has like an actual submarine laboratory that's also in the micro realm that we're going to show as a card as well, which will be playable in the game. So this set's going to be pretty epic. It's probably one of the biggest sets we've rolled out, and I'm just crossing my fingers it does well with sales because we could really use that capital, and just very excited. Very excited.
It's going to be awesome. And just really looking forward to, it's hard to believe still that we're just, it's just almost been about a year since we started this, and just thinking about the future and a year from now where we're going to be at, and just all the content we created, and just talking to our writer too. We almost have the pilot episode for the TV series is near completion, the first draft. And we just can't wait to share all this world building that we've been doing that me, Matt, and Gordon and Adrian and Rusty and John Helms and even our whole marketing group too, just as we're all helping create this world together. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's even crazy to see now sorry, Matt, I was going to say, it's just crazy to see the renders that we just even looked at today of the lab and an engine. And I mean, they only brought me on in September. So, I mean, it's only been about maybe even 4 months. And it's crazy how much we've got done in that short space of time.
Yeah, I actually had a meeting with Rusty this morning, and he showed me his rough model of the mech suit in 3D with an upgraded rings that rotate. Oh my God, it just gave me chills.
Yeah.
So it's once we put that into the lab, that's going to be a major set piece in that space. But yeah, the textures are looking much better. The placement of objects is getting better. Obviously, it's iteration after iteration to make it really sweet. But we have real-time lighting coming through the windows now, and we have ambient light bouncing around. So it just feels so much richer than it did originally. So
one of the things that keeps me driven on this, because, doing it for a year or whatever, is just seeing some of these shows. There's some shows and movies are good and some are bad. And it's the bad ones, I think, that sort of drive me to want to create something quality for people. And unfortunately, this new show, The Book of Boba Fett, I mean, I'm sure everyone has their own opinion, but oh my God, it's bad. It's just freaking bad. It reminds me of like Power Rangers, which is like a non-union.
Someone's talked about that recently, the Power Rangers thing. Somebody mentioned that, yeah.
I mean, I just watched the 3rd episode last night, and if you guys haven't seen it yet, you'll know exactly what I mean by Power Rangers when you see it. Like, it's not even it's not even a stretch when you see what I mean by Power Rangers. It's ridiculous. They literally have Power Rangers in the show, and you're just like, no, like what the hell is going on here? And then you have shows. So probably my 2 favorite shows in the last little while was on HBO. There's this show called Warrior, which takes place in 1870s San Francisco, Chinatown. And it's just in the first 5 minutes you're in, and the story is so good, and developing the characters, you care about everybody, even if it's a bad guy or good guy, you know who they are and you know what's going on. And then tonight actually is the final episode of The Expanse, and that show as well. It's like you care about every single character, and the acting and what they say, just everything they say makes sense. Whereas like Book of Boba Fett, the dialogue too, you're just like, what? Like, what did he just say? And then I feel like they almost wanted to make fun of Star Wars or something. Like they have like Machete, Danny Trejo come out, and you're just like, I know it's Robert Rodriguez is the director. So of course he's going to use his buddies, but it's just, it pulls you out of the whole Star Wars suspension of disbelief when you see stuff that you're just like, wait, what? But anyways,
yeah,
what are your guys' thoughts?
I don't know who's even writing it, but I've never really rated Rodriguez as a director. I mean, like, I know people talk about some of the greater films he's done, but I've never been a fan really. And I think
Desperado, right? Desperado.
Yeah.
And
I think
Lava Boy.
I think yeah, stuff like that. But I think with Favreau doing the last ones, especially the Mandalorian stuff, and Filoni as well, Dave Filoni doing like the stuff, like I think they were the prime kind of dream team for doing that stuff, but I don't know how much involvement they've had in Boba Fett, because I don't think it's maybe been as much.
Well, it says every script was written by Favreau, which shame on you, Favreau. But if you look at Favreau's like resume, he's got a bunch of hits and misses. Like he does have hits, but then he's got Iron Man that he directed, but then he's got Iron Man 2.
And he's got Zathura, which really wasn't that great. Yeah,
so it's
weird as well, because he's such a fanboy of the franchise, but then I think they should really give the reins to Filoni more, because he is like the ultimate fanboy of Star Wars. Like he can specific detail.
Well, when I was working with Dave Filoni, I remember him saying to the team over lunch, he's like, I can't believe this. George Lucas told me that if I die tomorrow, this franchise is safe in your hands. And he actually said that to Dave Filoni. And Dave Filoni relayed that to us. So there is a lot of appreciation and honor that is being carried with Dave Filoni that goes beyond George Lucas.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. Oh, no, on you go.
Okay. I was just going to say, like with The Mandalorian, I'm just wondering if they sort of assembled this dream team with The Mandalorian, because The Mandalorian was pretty good. There were still some problems, but overall really good. But I feel like what happened was they sort of splintered off that team of Mandalorian people. And so Rodriguez got the Book of Boba Fett, and then all those other directors, they had almost like a different director every episode. Or there was about 4 or 5 directors, including the guy from New Zealand that did Ragnarok.
Taika Waititi.
So, so each one of them, I think, is taking one of these Star Wars TV shows or movies. And so you can obviously tell Book of Boba Fett is not the same team. Like even the lighting, you're just like, it looks like home movies, like blown out lighting.
Yeah, people have commented on the VFX and the art direction, and it's maybe the B team that's doing Boba Fett, and the A team still.
I mean, to support them a little bit, I gotta admit in the second episode of Boba Fett, the train sequence, not to give anything away, that was pretty well done, guys. I mean, let's not that.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the best people. Yeah, it's definitely was going to be the best people in the industry working on this stuff, but then it's like, I don't know, sometimes the stars just don't align with with certain things. It just depends. Yeah.
There's the problem. Okay, the problem is like every movie or show might have one cool sequence, but it's just putting it all together and having it make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just times like this, Matt, when you see the third episode, I'm just like, what now? What's going on here? What are we doing now? Like, it doesn't flow in a way that I'm just somebody who is supervising it somehow. I don't know how they greenlit it. I don't know.
I think it's harder for me and Matt now in our careers. You get to a point in your career, especially in this industry, where you know so many people in those productions that you almost feel bad mouthing things, because you know, like, if you were working on it, you wouldn't want people to be like, it was shit, it was terrible, and then you've spent like 5 years of your life working on something, you're like, oh, fuck's sake.
Exactly. I mean, Christian Alsman, a friend of mine, he did concept art for it, and a few other friends working on that production, and it's really sad. I mean, even from my experience, I've worked on movies that weren't that great. It just came down to the script. Obviously, the art direction, the design, all that, was well done. But it comes down to story always. So, I just remember the Angry Birds script. When I read that for the first time, I was just kind of like, what is going on here? And it was, we designed a beautiful world, but that's only like a small part of what needs to be shown for entertainment. The end result. It's got to be a great story.
Yeah. I mean, I had a bunch of pals who, I mean, some of my first friends in the industry when I went to the events in Europe were people who worked at CD Projekt Red, who done the Witcher games originally, but then obviously now worked on Cyberpunk, which came out recently. And the art direction again and the stuff they done artistically was incredible. But then, of course, the game was kind of a flop because of all the media surrounding it. So, like, that also feels terrible when you're sitting talking to people about, Cyberpunk shit, really, isn't it? And you're like, well, like, the final result might not be great, but I know so many people who worked really hard on that for a lot of years. So, it's difficult. It's difficult for people to take in things and see it objectively as not just a consumer, but also an artist. And that's, I think, where me and Matt find it difficult as well, because you work on so many. It's like essentially like if we work on Zammsy for so long, and then people, when we launch it, maybe say, it's shit, it's terrible, and then we're all sitting here like, fuck.
Right. I mean, I worked on film production for 10 years, so I worked on like Lost and Pirates of the Caribbean, Jurassic World, Indiana Jones Part 4. And, some of them you think, like, even this one show I worked on called The Last Resort, it was so cool. And even watching on TV, it was really cool, but it was on the Thursday night, which is supposed to be it's the hardest to break into. And it just didn't get the ratings it needed, even though it was like a really good show. And then some shows you work on, you think it's going to be really good, and you watch in the theater, it's terrible. So it's sometimes it's hard to tell which one is going to be a hit or not. Even Lost, nobody thought Lost was going to be a hit.
All these productions are just, a pile of cogs in this big wheel, right? And all it takes is for one of them not to work properly, and then it just kind of trickles down and affects the whole production. Yeah. So I just,
it's difficult as well, because every time I see I've seen some of the concept people have been posting, because some of the guys have been posting it on their Facebook and be like, because they get permission to. So I've seen some of the early Boba Fett stuff, and I've been like, those concepts look incredible. But then I don't know how well that translates into the guys physically on set building the costumes and the props, how that translates. So
I thought the Sand People were well done. It was cool, honestly, learning about their tribe and how they make their weapons and how it's a ritual. And I thought there was a lot of good thought into all of that. But
totally, it's just
we all have our own opinions about things.
No, of course, all that stuff could be done in a way that the pacing is it was just really hard to sit there. Like, all the stuff, it's like you have every tool, everything's cool, but then it just wasn't executed in a way that is, that's just my opinion too. Like, I'm sure other people loved it.
I don't hate Boba Fett. And so I can go into it and find things and learn to love it. Now, for your perspective, Ralph, you hate it. You absolutely hate the show. So you're going to go in and be
very high expectations. Yeah. Based on The Mandalorian, I thought it would be maybe a step up. I thought it was going to be I thought that, they figured it out with Mandalorian. We'll fix the little bits and pieces that need to be fixed with Mandalorian and just raise the bar. Let's raise the bar. And I know Disney was hoping this was going to be like the biggest hit of all time to gain subscribers, because that last episode of The Mandalorian where Luke Skywalker showed up, it's the most watched thing by far on Disney Plus, and got them a huge bump in like subscriptions, like huge. So I think that's what they were hoping with Book of Boba Fett, and it's just okay. So that's my big disappointment, is that it's okay, and then oh my God, watch episode 3. It's Power Rangers.
All right, I think we should wrap this up. We've been talking about Boba Fett for 15 minutes here.
I got the last thing I want to do is just a shout out. I was at the football game on Sunday, and actually one of the women I worked with on Lost for all 6 seasons, Pam Larson, who her name now is Pamela Strode. I was just sitting at the game, and she was doing some kind of charity thing for one of her family members, and I just all of a sudden she was like the main thing on the big screen. I was like, wait, there's Pam. And I worked with her for 6 years on Lost, so that was just shocking to me. And I texted her after, and she's like, "Yeah." But anyways, just random shout out to Pam.
Another example of we're in the Matrix.
Yeah, we're in the Matrix. The Mandela effect.
Yeah,
all right, guys.
So weird.
So
weird.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wrap it up. Wrap it up, and we'll be back again next week and talking about all the fun things happening. So thank you, everybody. Dr.Z NFT podcast. We're out.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye, guys.